Hello, digital world. This is your pastor, Brian Steele. I am back with another 5-minute message, and we're talking more fruit of the Spirit. Today, it's all about peace. So let's start with the Prince of Peace, Jesus. Got two different examples. One where Jesus is talking about peace, then one where he is showing peace. John 14:25 through 27. This is Jesus talking about peace and how the peace that he exhibited in his own life while he was among us is going to continue. That the peace Jesus had wasn't just confined to his earthly body, but this is now a gift that he is offering to us through the Holy Spirit, even after he returns to the Father. Again, John 14:25 through 27. I have spoken these things to you while I am with you. The companion, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you everything and will remind you of everything I told you. Peace I leave with you. My peace I give you. I give to you not as the world gives. Don't be troubled or afraid. Example number 2. This is an instance that has always, if I'm being honest, kind of annoyed me about Jesus because it just really grates against my human nature. But this is where he is really preaching or practicing what he preaches. Matthew 8:23 through 26. When Jesus got into a boat, his disciples followed him. A huge storm arose on the lake so that waves were sloshing over the boat. But Jesus was asleep. Told you it was kind of annoying. The disciples came and woke him, saying, Lord, rescue us, we're going to drown. He said to them, Why are you afraid, you people of weak faith? Then he got up and gave orders to the winds and the lake, and there was a great calm. So, what I find challenging about the fruit of the Spirit and what that passage in Matthew really gets to is that the fruit of the Spirit is not dependent upon our circumstances. There's something that the Holy Spirit produces in us regardless of what is going on around us. And to be honest, I know I'm not the most cooperative with the Holy Spirit at times in this regard. That Matthew story really relates to me because I see myself being just like the other disciples on the boat, freaking out amidst the storm. But what Jesus is saying in both of these passages is that we can be having a rough day. We can be in the midst of a difficult situation. We can be in the midst of literal storms or figurative storms. Jesus is still there through the Holy Spirit to give us peace. Because peace is a gift. It's something that Jesus himself is saying right here that he is giving to us. It's not something we're necessarily going to be able to produce on our own. It's not something we're even prone to look at on our own. It's something Jesus wishes to give us. And sometimes I just think we have to keep telling ourselves that peace is a gift and to keep asking God to receive that gift because we forget about it, you know? We forget that that is the gift from God, that Jesus wants us to have peace. And Jesus, again, this doesn't mean everything's hunky dory all around. Jesus knew the situation he was sending his disciples out into, um, and it wasn't going to be easy. Jesus never gives any false illusions that the spiritual life is easy, but he is saying that can be peaceful. Um, Peace doesn't mean we don't have conflict, doesn't mean we don't have legitimate concerns, doesn't even mean we won't experience anxiety. Um, it means that the difficult times, whether it's conflict, anxiety, or any other type of thing, they can means we can have those difficulties within the context of our relationship with God. It's like the relationship with Jesus is the overarching circle around that situation, knowing that there is still a peace to be found, even in this temporary situation, even when that temporary situation feels like it's going to last forever. And here's why I think this is so worthwhile and why we need to take this fruit of the Spirit seriously. When we have peace, when we are experiencing that true gift from God, any divisions, I don't care what they are, interpersonal, cultural, um, they can be healed and restored. Um, the word for peace in the Bible is shalom, and it basically means that God, through the gift of peace, takes that which is broken and makes it whole, complete. When we receive God's peace, we are receiving God's invitation to be made whole. For God to take the parts of us that are broken, to put them back together. And that's why Jesus calls us to be peacemakers. Because we take the peace that we have been given as a gift from God and bring that into the relationships we have with others. Here's a really cool example that someone told me early on in my ministry years. I had this, I think she was about to be 102, lived to be about 103-year-old parishioner named Reva. And she did give me permission to share the story because she told me how her and her husband adopted several children. And sadly, her mother-in-law never accepted the children as family, which would be really hard for anybody. Her mother-in-law continued to be difficult, distant, disagreeable, even when Reva and her family hosted her. And then one day, after Reva had just heard a sermon on forgiveness, went over to her mother-in-law, put her arm around her. Again, this is the woman who had treated her and her family without much love. And she told her that she loved her, that she wanted to take care of her. After hearing that sermon on forgiveness, which is a type of receiving peace, Reva realized that if she wanted to be a better follower of Jesus, she had to forgive. And after she did that, her mother-in-law was radically different. She loved and accepted the family. This is having a heart of peace. When we receive that gift of peace, this is the impact it can have among relationships in our world. And she shared that gift. The fruit of the Spirit, this peace, it will alter how we see people, alter how we see the world. And when we do that, things can change around us. People can change. Our world can change. So I hope you can receive God's gift of peace and find ways to be a peacemaker now. So that's it for today's message, friends. We'll see you back next week. Go and receive peace and be that peace wherever you find yourself.